So here we go again with this Audi Q5, 2010 Q5 3.2. Drove it into town again today after changing that secondary air injection system pressure sensor that was out of range. And that, of course, enabled the secondary air injection system performance test. And now it's failed the performance test, setting a P0491 and a P0492. It also set that cylinder number 5 air-fuel ratio imbalance code and a new code now for an oxygen sensor, O2 sensor circuit. On the OBD2 side, it says bank 2 sensor 2, but I'd have to double check that. Not worried about the oxygen sensor code and the air-fuel ratio code. I got injectors on order. Hopefully they'll be in tomorrow. But this secondary air injection system is going to illuminate the MIL. Now, looking at the information system for this, found a TSB on it. Both codes set at the same time. Suggests that passages in the cylinder head could become plugged up with carbon deposits. Oh joy. And it's suggesting to do this, perform Otis testing, command the air pump on and watch calibration data parameters change. But if that's the case, it also says to listen for the pump to run. And when I command the air pump on with the snap-on scan tool, I don't hear the pump running. But over here I notice in this technical service bulletin, what did I see? Where did I read it? Go to 01 engine control mod, basic settings, checking secondary air, select press test, press the brake and gas pedal at the same time. So this is a key on, engine off test, and the brake and gas pedal must be depressed. Whereas in the snap-on scan tool, when I go into this actual test, under functional test, special functions, secondary it doesn't specify that. It doesn't say that this test is key on, engine off. None of these say that. So it's not in the actuator tests here. These tests are done key on, engine off. If you select one of them, it tells you key on, engine off. But in this special function here, it says it just goes into it and it says check basic setting running abort, and it'll just sit there and continue this forever because the conditions are not correct. So I'm going to try this test, key on, engine off, foot on the brake and the gas pedal at the same time. So when I try to repeat the test, key on, engine off, foot on the gas pedal and the brake, I get basic setting routine aborted due to safety reasons. So I'm going to try special features in expert mode and see if that works. So if I did the vehicle in expert mode and into basic settings, and then there's a pre-populated list that says some of these functions require the engine to be running, key on, engine running, or engine off, key on, engine off, and may or may not require security access. Where known, the scan tool will display the appropriate message and perform the relevant security access procedure. Where this is not the case, you will need to know the correct procedure and the correct security access code should it be required. So we're going to click continue here and look for a lot of this stuff is diesel related by the looks of it. Wow. Well, in this bulletin, it just says go to control module, basic settings, checking secondary air. Well, that's not in this list yet, not that I've seen so far. Well, I'll scroll through here and see if I can find it. So it wasn't in that list of tests. There must have been over 150 of them there. But in here it says for the 3.2 FSI, it says go to control module, engine control module, basic settings, test 77. So we're going to try that. Well, that didn't work. But I notice it says here for A6, C6, 3.2 FSI. Now this is a 3.2, but it's not a A6. It's a Q5. Q7 3-liter turbo. But up here in the top here, and the next one up, in this bulletin here, I'm going to try again. So I'm going to put in 0077. Continue. And then continue. An error has occurred. Oh well, what else is new here? So I try run checking the secondary air system with the MaxiSys Elite scanner, and I get basically the same thing. Exited due to reasons of safety. So stop. Escape. Let's try with it running. That's that stumble when it starts because it's fuel injector leaking. So I'm going to try this test with it running. It says not active. Start. Now it says it's active, but I don't hear the air pump running. Well, we'll have a listen. We'll get outside and have a listen. So the secondary air injection pump lives behind the front of the right front fender, sort of under the right front headlight, or right headlight. There's no rear headlights. I've disconnected the connector and I've wired in a headlight there. There's a 30 amp fuse that runs this pump, so it should run this headlight no problem. And I'm going to try to command it on with the scan tool and see if the headlight runs or comes on. So I'm going to use the MaxiSys scanner here. I'm going to go in basic settings and it's checking secondary air system. It says not active. You can see the headlight out there. It's not on. Click start. It says it's active, and of course there is no headlight on. So looking at the electrical diagram, there's a 30 amp fuse. It doesn't say which fuse panel it's in. I've checked both fuse panels, all three fuse panels that I can find so far, and I haven't been able to find it. But we'll have to find it, see if the fuse is blown. I'm going to manually try running that pump. So I put direct battery power and ground to the two terminals in this connector here that goes to the air pump. Here's the connector come off, and the pump makes a grunting noise and tries to run, but it's definitely defective, and I suspect it's blown the fuse in the circuit now. And the wiring diagram doesn't tell me what fuse panel it's in, but it shows a relay in fuse panel B, and I'm assuming fuse panel B is beside the driver's or passenger door, so we're going to have a look in there. So the owner's manual lists three fuse panels. This one here on the left side, one on the right side, and one in the rear. None of them has that particular fuse in it that I can find, or if it does, that fuse is not burnt out. There's some 30 amp fuses in this panel and they're all good. Now looking at the wiring diagram, the Mitchell diagram shows it and shows the relay in fuse panel B. Here is the electrical diagram from OEM, and diagram 10 shows the evap canister purge regulator, fuel metering valve. Diagram 11 shows, here's diagram 11, secondary air injection pump, secondary air injection pump relay. But when I click on that particular diagram, we're sorry, but we are currently experiencing error loading document. Just this frickin' document, really? Yet diagram 12 comes up no problem, and diagram 13 probably comes up no problem. Sure, look at that. Just diagram 11. What are the odds? load it again. We are sorry, but we're experiencing a problem. Oh my gosh, this car is eating my lunch. So we went back one model year to 2009, hoping it's the same, and that particular diagram 11 loads. It's fuse number S130 and relay number J299. Now let's see if we can find out where they hide. So it turns out there's another fuse panel under the cowl in front of the wiper blade under this plastic cover here. This one's not even mentioned in the owner's manual, just because it takes a certified mechanic to get in here to check these fuses. Got to take this plastic cover off, the windshield water filler spout out of the way, and I'm not even sure if the fuse is in here, but we're going to have a look. So this component location says item number 4, which is in the general vicinity of that ECM, and J299, which is right there, is in J299 is the relay, and it's in fuse panel B, number 7, relay fuse panel B. Focus. In electronics box on plenum chamber driver's side. Well, I'm in there. I've got the ECM out. I don't see any fuses that match that. I don't see that relay 299. All the relays are typically numbered 643, 404, 643, unless one of those is the one in question. But I don't see a 30 amp fuse in this fuse panel either, unless that diagram is misrepresented. I think I'll just check all these fuses here. So it's pretty bad when you have to use Google over an information system to find out where the fuses and relays are in this system. So in this Audi forum, somebody posted a picture showing the relays under the hood. These ones are labeled 643 and 404. And then down here at the bottom it says secondary air pump relay J299 is C. So that is that one right there. So we're going to remove that relay and check to see if there's power at pin 30 of the relay and jump it to see if it'll send power to that motor. So the two large pins at this relay are the heavy current pins. And in the relay center on pin 3 I should have power, and I don't. And that pisses me off because that comes from that fuse and I can't find the fuse. So we're going to continue. So it turns out that this 50 amp fuse is the fuse for the air pump, and the third relay, the fourth relay down, the one that's labeled 643 here like all the rest of them, is the relay for the secondary air pump. So we're going to bypass pins 30 to 87 and see if we have power over to the air pump. But the fuse is good. That bothers me now because either the bidirectional command didn't work on my scan tool, which would not surprise me, or there's a wiring problem between this relay and the air pump. So with the relay jumper in there, I got power to the pump. Now this is an LED that shows me whether the control circuit is being energized, so I'm going to run the vehicle now and try and command that on and see if it works. So I'm using the bidirectional control in this Autel scanner now and hoping that that LED is going to light up in there. I'm going to click start and it says that air injection system is active, but there is no LED indication. So I'm going to check for power on the control wire, because that little LED should be lit up to indicate the control is on the top of this tester here. Or my bidirectional controls in the scan tool don't work. So I've tried two different scanners and neither will operate this secondary air injection pump, Maxi-Sys Elite and Snap-on Varus Edge. I even tried in the expert mode. I'm not sure if I need a security access, because when I found that in there in the test here. So what I'm going to do is leave it till tomorrow morning, because when it's cold the air injection pump should run. So I'm going to leave it till tomorrow morning and see what happens in the morning when I got the headlight connected across the connector on the air injection pump. I know it needs a pump. The pump is defective, but I'd hate like hell to put a pump in and then find out that there's more problems. I've already, this thing is already killing me.